Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome to Abby's Digital Nook. Cannot believe we are finally doing a wrap up. So far I've literally only posted Kindle videos and I have plenty more Kindle videos to do, but I could not wait any longer. I wanted to do my first wrap up video of all the books I've read this month, but since I started this channel in November, I haven't really had the chance to really dive into books how I have been previously. It's crazy because throughout the year, I've been reading one book every day or every 2 days. So this month has been like the slowest month out of all my months. Before the end of the year, I am gonna do a full year wrap up of like everything I've read for the whole year. I've been tracking everything in my Notion reading journal, all my stats. So it's gonna be kind of like a Spotify wrapped, but like Abby's Digital Nook wrapped. And it's gonna have like how many books I read, what genres there were, how many each month. Like I've been keeping all the stats, so I got you guys. So I read 6 books on my Kindle, and then I did 6 short stories on Audible. Okay, so I'm gonna give you November, and then I'm gonna give you guys my December TBR. So let's dive on into the book. The first book I read in November was Powerless, and this is by Lauren Roberts. So this was actually a recommendation on my Kindle home screen. Long story short, there's a kingdom. I don't know how to pronounce the kingdom. There's a plague that came down and killed a bunch of people, but those people who didn't die all now possess crazy powers. These powers have now been passed on through generations, and people are born with powers. Those who don't have powers, or those who were left without powers, now considered ordinaries. These ordinaries are no longer allowed to live comfortably among the elites who have powers. The ruler of the kingdom doesn't want any ordinaries, get rid of all of them. The female lead is called Paida, and her father had powers, but she was born without powers, and so her dad taught her as a kid how to pretend like she has powers, and that is to like pretend she has like psychic abilities. And apparently psychic abilities is a very rare thing. Because she grew up poor and also is pretty much on the run all the time, she's constantly stealing, fighting, whatever, to do whatever she can to survive. So Paida basically does everything she can to try and blend in with the elites, pretend like she has powers, and then one day she's on the market stealing some stuff. She sees a guy in trouble and she decides to help save him. Is being attacked by a more powerful guy. The power that he possesses can freeze other people's powers so that he can pretty much do anything he wants. When she steps in to help this person who's struggling, the guy with the superpower isn't able to use his power on her, and so she's able to basically fight the man and save the guy who's struggling. Turns out the guy who's struggling is the prince in disguise, so you can kind of see where this is going. Every year there's a special event called the Purging Trials, and only the best of the best elites be part of these trials. I guess the prince, after being saved, was like, why cannot I not read your power? Because his power is to be able to copy other people's powers, but he couldn't copy her power because she doesn't have power. So he was like, is she an ordinary? If she's an ordinary, I'm gonna have to kill her. But if she's not an ordinary, then let me bring her to the trials because she saved me, and let's see if she really is the best of the best. The whole story basically follows her going through the trials, trying to come out on top and not die. Honestly, Powerless is a 5-star read, and if you are into like any type of fantasy type series, this is definitely one you need to be reading. That is the first book I read in November. My second book is called Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. I rate this a 3.9 stars, only because I didn't read the previous book and I had no clue what was going on. So I read The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, and I didn't realize that all of her books were a series. That's my fault for not checking. I just thought that they were like standalone books. So I read Nothing Like the Movies, and then when I was reading like the first chapter, I realized that apparently these are characters that were from a previous book. I mean, it still made sense, and I thought it was a good book. It was really wholesome and cute. It follows a girl who's in college, and she runs into her ex who now goes to the same college as her, and they, I guess, rekindle their romance. So it's just a really cutesy read. It's a 3.9 for me. It definitely doesn't get anything higher than that. I really liked The Do-Over. I thought that book was top tier, 5-star read for me. I love anything that's like time travel, mind bending, anything like that. Nothing Like the Movies wasn't quite as good in my opinion. Okay. This next book, does anyone remember the TV series on Freeform called Shadowhunters? Because I loved that show and I was highly addicted to watching episodes and reruns and reruns and reruns. So I feel like when I watched it, I didn't watch it in order. This is like right before we had like the access to binge watch things or just watch everything in the order that they should be, or maybe I just don't remember it accurately. Either way, it prompted me to want to read the story because I knew that the series got cancelled before the story actually ended. So my third book was City of Bones, Immortal Instruments, and it basically follows a girl named Clare who apparently is a shadow hunter, but her mom has been hiding her from the shadow hunter world her entire life until her 16th birthday, which is when her powers start to activate. But her mom has been giving her all the information but then erasing her memory, so that she eventually would remember it as she got older, but didn't actually remember it while it was happening. But there's a whole lot happening. There's like a whole secret world where the in-between, where people are shadow hunters and they're basically killing demons. Like, honestly, if you haven't seen the show, go on Freeform and see if they have the episodes still, because it's a really good show. And the book was basically just a refresher for me. Usually if I've seen a show before I read the book, then the book actually sticks in my brain better because I have a visualization of every character. And the first book was great, so I'm going to be moving on to the next book probably next month, a different list of Christmassy type books for December. So that is my next fantasy witchy series that I'm currently reading. The next book I read is The Love of My Afterlife. Oh my gosh, this book is 5 stars. 5. If I could give it 10 stars, I would give it 10 stars. Again, I love time travel. I love time travel or magical realism or whatever you want to call it. I love it so much, and Love of My Afterlife was just top tier. So let me give you a summary. You'll find out this in the first chapter anyway, but basically there's a girl and this girl dies by choking on a piece of chicken. When she dies, she ends up in like an in-between place. It's giving The Good Place. She meets an afterlife coach and she realizes her life was actually kind of pathetic in her eyes. She's like, oh, I can't believe I didn't even achieve anything. I didn't do anything in my life. While she's coming to terms with figuring out the fact that she's dead now because she choked on her dinner, during this time, there's like a little glitch and some guy ends up in the same like building afterlife space as them, and our main girl meets this guy, chats with him, and as soon as she talks to him, instant spark. What was that? I've never had a spark with anyone before, not like that anyway. And the afterlife coach proceeds to tell her that's actually your soulmate. What? That was my soulmate? So after the glitches happened, the coach obviously sends the guy back. I guess he was injured or maybe he was in a coma. I don't remember actually what happened to him, why he ended up there, but he was only there for a very short period of time. And so he gets sent back to the human world. The main girl's like, oh, I need to, like, this is sad. How can you make me meet my soulmate now in the afterlife? This is not okay. So she cuts a deal with her afterlife coach to go back to Earth, find her soulmate. That's make her soulmate kiss her within 10 days. And she doesn't, then she's gonna skedaddle back over to the afterlife. The story follows her on a mission to find this guy who is her soulmate, and she doesn't know anything about him other than his name, and he has no memory or recollection of meeting her, despite the fact that sizzling moment for him meeting his soulmate. So yeah, the story is so good. It has all the elements of a typical rom-com, but it's also not your typical rom-com. You're probably forming in your head like what you think is gonna happen now. Oh, she's gonna meet him, they're gonna live happily ever after. Like, that's not exactly the case. So definitely read this book. It's so fun. There's a lot of comedic elements in there. There's so many side characters that just make it even more fun. So top tier, 5-star read. The next book I had on my Kindle, but I ended up listening to it on Libby. So I ended up just listening to it and not reading it on the Kindle. But this one's called Love and Lattes. And this is actually a new book. It's by Beth Reekles. I would give this book 4 stars. It felt nostalgic for me. So it's definitely a young adult book. She's doing an internship at some big company. She basically had to finagle a bunch of things in order to get this internship. She's not technically qualified 100% for this internship, but she was able to find a way to get in. And right before she goes to start this internship, she wanted to go out, have fun, meet some people. So she goes out, she meets a guy, they're just like out hanging out, having fun, and then they kiss. And she's like, oh my gosh, this was like such a great night. It was the best night ever. I wonder if I'll ever see this guy again. Who knows? So anyway, she starts this new internship now after having like such a great like weekend. And this guy happens to work there, and turns out he's the son of the CEO, which is nuts. Uh-oh. Basically, the story follows her at this internship, her trying to prove herself, as well as trying to navigate liking this person that she had like a crazy connection with. It's a really cute, cozy read. They were mentioning just different things about England that just felt like so like warm and cozy to me, and so that is why I was like, this book's too cute. I gotta give it 4 stars. Would I read it again? Probably not, but I would recommend it. Okay, next I read Part of Your World by Abbi Jimenez. Part of Your World has been on my TBR list for the past 6 months. I've wanted to read this book for so long, and I don't know why I didn't. I just had so many other ones in my TBR. I was on Book Talk, and everyone on Book Talk was telling me to read Your Yours Truly, which is the red book. I can't read the second book without reading the first book, so I need to read the first book. I finally got it. I was able to get the audiobook on Libby, so I was able to listen and read. Immersive reading, and it was a great book. This is a 4.5 star read for me. There's a woman, she's a doctor, she's like top tier from an elite family. All her friends are in this elite circle and they all run around doing elite things. She happens to go to a bar in a small town, meeting some guy. This guy is much younger than her. Like, they're in different age brackets. Like, she's in her 30s, he's in his 20s, but they hit it off. They hit it off so well. They just start this cute little romance. This guy's got his own struggles. He's dealing with his house. He's dealing with all kinds of stuff with his family. Meanwhile, she's dealing with her stuff with her family, but they still connect with each other on the weekends and like kind of really get to know each other. But she's kind of scared to bring him into her world because her family would never ever approve. Meanwhile, she's in an emotionally abusive relationship with her current partner, who her family are obsessed with because he just fits and ticks all the boxes as an elite person. And so her family's like, oh, it's fine, it's just a little spat that you guys are having, you guys will be fine, you guys can get back together, you'll be good. Meanwhile, she's like, I want out. Like, I don't want to be with this guy. Like, I don't want to be in a relationship with him. I want out. But her parents don't support that. So anyways, her escape is to go and be with this other guy, this younger guy who is falling madly and deeply in love, but the ex-boyfriend refuses to leave the relationship because he doesn't want to lose his perks, he doesn't want to lose the house that they have together, he doesn't want to lose his status, so he's just hanging on to her and refusing to go. The younger guy has brought her into his world, and she's met his friends and his family, and they're like really getting to know each other, but she is really worried about bringing him into hers. And that is where the story kind of like unfolds and becomes really interesting, and we kind of see like the power play dynamics between like the elites and the regulars. So it's just a really, really good, wholesome, like small town book. And let me tell you this, I don't like small town books, okay? Like, those are the type of books that I actively try to avoid. This was an exception. 4.5 stars. Now I can read the second book. So those are all the books that I read on my Kindle and through Libby. Now let's jump into the novellas that I listened to on Audible. With the Audible subscription, you get 1 credit a month that you can use in any book. And then you also have access to this massive library of just like indie authors and then famous authors and just a bunch of books I probably never would have read or listened to or even like considered without having the subscription. Sometimes there's some top tier actresses and actors and celebrities that are voice acting these stories. So I'm gonna look at my iPad so I can give you guys the names. The first novella that I listened to was called Stranded. This one has Tracee Ellis Ross and Taraji P. Henson and Felicia Rashad and so many other like big names in the book. And it basically follows 2 best friends that are like rekindling their friendship by going on a girls trip, and they haven't seen each other in a long time and they feel like they kind of fell out of friendship, and so they're like, let's have a girls trip. So they go on a girls trip, but the girls trip goes wrong and they get stranded on a random island, and basically they have to figure out how to get back to home, back to their family. There's such a really funny dynamic between the 2 girls. They are like constantly arguing but also love each other dearly, and like they just do some crazy outlandish stuff to survive on this random island. So the story starts with them already back and telling the story of how they got back. So they're narrating their own story. It's a really, really good novella, and this to me, chef's kiss, the best novella to start with in my novella listening series. Taraji P. Henson and Tracee Ellis Ross are absolute phenomenal actresses. Great, great listen. So if you haven't listened to it already and you have Audible Plus, you need to listen to that novella. It is so funny. I call them novellas because they're just short and like really punchy and crazy things happen. The next one I listened to was called Technically Speaking. The voice actors in this was Coco Jones and Keith Powers. They are, again, Coco Jones. She knows how to act, she knows how to sing. She's just like supreme Disney. Coco Jones is a single mom and she works at this really big company, but she's working in the kitchen, and her dream is to work in tech, and she's basically coding stuff on the side. There's an employee who happens to leave to go on maternity leave and accidentally drops her badge, and so Coco Jones, I'm calling Coco Jones because I don't remember her character's name, but Coco Jones found the badge and was going to return it, but then as she was going to return it, she saw that there was a competition to win a prize of $10,000. I think it was $10,000, but there's been a big lump sum of money. She would have to basically present a app to the company or to the board, then she'll win the money. So basically she decides to take this woman's identity, which I don't really know how that would possibly work, because apparently she looks similar to the person, but like, I'm like, really, nobody knows what this lady looks like? I digress. So she takes over this woman's job to enter the competition. Meanwhile, she's not getting paid during this time. So she takes over this woman's position and she's developing an app that she's already started developing anyway, but now she's got like backing behind it. And you'll see like her showcase her skills, meet lots of people, and none of these people for some reason know the original lady. She's able to pull it off and she ends up doing something really cool. It's a really good novella. There is romance. It's a really quick listen. I would say I finished it in maybe 2 hours or maybe an hour and a half, because I listen to all my audiobooks in at least 1.6. Even though it says it's 2 hours, it's really only like 1.5 hours or maybe less. So, my coffee. The next audiobook I listened to was called Still Hung Up on You. This one was so cute. I would give this a rating 4. So there's a girl, she dated a guy when she was in high school and he broke up with her for whatever reason. 10 years has passed and she remembers, oh my gosh, remember that day before we broke up? I accidentally left a sweater at your house and I really need that sweater back. So she contacts him and tells him like, hey, I need the sweater back. It's important to me. Do you have it? And basically the story is following her on the journey of trying to get this sweater back from 10 years ago when she was in high school. Basically are just texting the whole time. His work requires him to travel a lot. He's like pulling out all these stops in order to help her get to his old parents' house and get the sweater. It's not as easy as it seems to like go to his house and get the sweater back. Of course, there's like a million obstacles along the way. The story basically follows that journey of her going back to like old times and trying to find the old sweater. And it will be explained why she wants the sweater in the story. Definitely worth a listen if you need, like if you just have like, I'd say like if you just have a Saturday and you're just like, oh, I just want to listen to something really cutesy and fun, or maybe a Sunday cozy, like definitely listen to that book. I recommend. All the books I'm telling you in this video, I highly recommend. The last book that I listened to on Audible, this one, so cute. I know I keep saying this, but it was, okay? I like to listen to books from authors of different ethnicities and books that have different cultures and backgrounds because I just find it so fun. And this book was called The Setup and it's by Falguni Kothari, young Indian girl. She's a doctor and she's from a family where everyone in the family is doctors or everyone is just like doing well for themselves. Which is common in Indian culture for the families to all live together, different generations. And so her grandfather is someone who she highly respects and really loves and just wants to please all the time. And her grandfather was like, hey honey, you know, you are becoming older now, you have to start thinking about getting married. Like, I understand that you don't want to do like an arranged marriage or whatever, but I do want you to find someone that you want to be with. And so he's like, I have some friends, I'm gonna set you up on 3 dates. They are friends of mine's grandsons, and just go on a date with them and just see how you like or whatever. And she is like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, why would I do that? I want to find someone who I truly love, who I want to be with, and who I can like happily live my life with, not someone who you guys set up with me that's like a really old and outdated tradition. So she said. Obviously her grandfather was sad because like he's like, I just want one thing before I die, and that is I want you to like be with someone I know that you're happy and like, you know, married or whatever. And so she's like, oh, okay, I will go on this date for you because I obviously don't want to disappoint you. So she goes on this blind date. When she gets there, she meets this guy who's so sure of himself at this Indian restaurant. It's full of like elders and like really family environment. In Indian culture, anyone who's older person, they would call them aunties or uncles. She mentions a lot in the book that there's so many Desi aunties. I think that's how she said it. But she said there's so many Desi aunties in the restaurant and they were all like listening and they're all up in our business while we're having conversations. Anyway, so she's at this restaurant and she's talking to her date and they are not getting along because this guy, he doesn't want to be there, she doesn't want to be there, and they're like, oh, let's just get this date over with. But of course, all kind of drama and dramatics happen, and all the aunties are listening, and they're like, you guys need to like talk it through. Like, they're all like getting all up in their business. Something happens where she, as a doctor, now has to step in, and so he's like, wow, she's a doctor, I didn't even know that, because he took all that time that they were on the date talking about himself and talking about his achievements and didn't ask her anything. But anyways, that's when he starts to kind of see like, oh wait, she's actually not this like some girl who's like not interested and who's looking to be in an arranged marriage. She's actually like a girl with substance, and a girl who knows what she wants, and a girl who is smart and intelligent and can like live her life really well. Basically, the story follows the two of them starting to like get to know each other, and they end their first date thinking like, we don't need to be with each other. Turns out her grandfather still wants her to go on dates, set her up on additional dates, but they don't go quite as planned. It's a really cute and wholesome story, and if you like cute, cozy type reads that feels like really like family oriented and just like a lovely romance, that is what this book is. I don't want to give away any details because if I keep talking about it, I'm definitely going to give you guys the full rundown of the story, but it is a really cute book, and obviously there's happy endings in all of these books that I've mentioned because that's how novellas pretty much go. So that's everything on my November wrap up. That was a lot. I haven't even talked about my December TBR yet. I'm gonna make this quick though because I feel like I've been filming for an hour. I'm gonna open it up on my iPad because it is much faster on my iPad to find everything that I need, plus it's in color. So my December TBR. I've tried to pick books that are really like in the season, and I don't know how much time I'm gonna have to actually read. I'm really putting a lot of effort into YouTube and also like my TikTok and just work and just resetting for 2025. So the first one is called The Christmas Wish. I wanted to read this one because it is supposedly a time travel type of book. It's got a similar premise to The Do-Over, where the day is just repeating. The girl's basically stuck in a never-ending Christmas loop. I guess apparently the girl's currently going through a breakup, and she's going to be constantly having a meet cute with this guy over and over and over and over. So I feel like this is going to be a good book because it has the time travel aspect, plus it's a romance, plus it's holiday. So it's just like a festive book that I am looking forward to reading. Okay, the next one is called Tarts and Mistletoe, another book that was a freebie at one point. So I'm going to read you the summary because this is what actually drew me in. I'll try and be quick about it. Being stuck at the airport wasn't part of my holiday plans. I was on my way to stay with my best friend and his family for the holidays when some freak snowstorm hit. Now I'm stuck. All planes are grounded and there's no hotel rooms available. I also have no clue of when I'll be able to get on another plane. So here I sit. Then I saw her. She stood in front of a vending machine, scrounging through her purse. When she found her last bit of change, she carefully made her selection. A disappointed look came over her face and she began to punch and kick the vending machine trying to get whatever she selected to drop. When it did, she threw her hands in the air as if she just made a winning touchdown. Then she bent down and pulled out a package of Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts? Who buys Pop-Tarts from a vending machine? She was feisty and cute, and I knew I needed to meet her, so I invited her to sit with me. The night passed quickly with flights heading out the next morning. It was then I realized I'd missed an opportunity as I watched her disappear into the airport crowd. However, Father Christmas smiled down at me once again when I discovered that the beautiful holiday angel I met earlier was my best friend's sister, and I only had a few days to make her mine. That is the premise of the story, and I thought, okay, that's a cute holiday story. I need to read that. So I'm going to put every single book from this video into an Amazon collection in my Amazon storefront so you guys can find them all. The next one is the one that everyone is talking about, and this is called How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Meghan Quinn. Cover alone is what made me want to read it. It's on Kindle Unlimited, so just add it to your thing. Supposedly a really good Christmas book. It's giving The Grinch, and I was never a big fan of The Grinch. It's an enemies to lovers romance, and basically there's a guy who lives in a small like Christmassy town. A girl moves in next door and she is moving in to help her aunt or something like that, and then she is going to like enter the singing competition in place of her aunt, I believe, and this guy apparently is like not about it, but I don't know, basically enemies and supposedly lovers at the end. I don't know. It's a book that looks like it's going to be good because the cover looks good. Yes, I'm judging a book by its cover. I'm going to read it. In fact, what I'm actually going to do is assistive read it, and I will let you guys know in my December wrap up if it was good or not. Next, I have 2 books from a series. It's Face Off and Power Play. So again, I'm judging a book by its cover because I saw Power Play and that has a pink cover, and I'm a sucker for a pink book. I'm sorry, if I see a pink book, I have to read what it's about, and if it's something that I might want to read, it's getting added to my Kindle. So I grabbed Power Play first and then realized, oh, this is the second book in a series, so I guess I need to read the first book. So I've got Power Play and Face Off, both of them in my TBR for December. I have a newfound love for sports romances, and Icebreaker is what drew me in. I had never read Icebreaker, then I don't think I would ever read a sports romance. So this is obviously another hockey romance. I know that the second book, Power Play, is about a girl who is a commentator for the hockey league in the NHL, and she's kind of like starting to pursue a relationship with one of the players. That's what the second book is about. The first book, I believe, is about a female who is trying to get into the NHL on a male team, and so it's kind of showing her like get into that team and also have some kind of like romance going on, or I don't know, but the second book is what drew me in, so I'm gonna read them both and I'll let you guys know how it goes down. They're not even Christmas books in any way, shape, or form, but it's pink and that's what matters, so we're reading the pink book this month. Next book, another pink book, The House Sitter. This is a forced proximity rom-com that's supposedly really funny. This book came out this year, so right now you can get it on Kindle. It's not on Kindle Unlimited, but it is on Kindle for only $2. So I'm gonna read you guys a quick premise of the book. It says Pippa Monroe. I'm assuming that this must be written by a British author. I don't know, because if her name is Pippa, she's gotta be. Pippa Monroe had the perfect life plan. What she did not plan for was her boyfriend to break up with her. Sad. Sell her beloved home, so instead of being blissfully engaged, Pippa finds herself jobless, homeless, and single. Wolfie Squires needs someone to look after his family's ancient house. He's too busy with his hotshot city job to deal with a country manor several hundred miles away. Enter Pippa Monroe, Wolfie's exact opposite. As tempers fray, ideas clash, and secrets are spilled, Pippa and Wolfie might realize that they have the same ambitions for the house if only they could stop arguing long enough to find out. Obviously, I'm assuming they're gonna live together and then end up liking each other, but it's my favorite kind of book, so we're reading it. Next on my list is Accidentally Amy. This is a book about a girl named Isabella who steals a guy's pumpkin spice latte at a coffee shop because she was running late and having a bad day and she just really needed the coffee. Follows like the journey of them like interacting after that incident happens, and I'm assuming they start to like each other, and I don't know, I'm assuming. Sounds like it's gonna be good and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, the next book on my list is called Quicksilver. This is a book that has been all over TikTok. It is apparently a 5-star read for everyone. It is a fantasy series. So this book is supposedly about a girl who has powers. So she ends up opening this portal after meeting Death, and it basically just follows the story of her going into this other realm. I'm not quite sure what happens, but apparently it's really cool and really good and really great 5-star read according to everyone in Book Talk. So I've put it on my list and I'm going to read it, and I will let you guys know how good it is. Last but not least, the book on my TBR for December, the audiobook on my TBR for December is called Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood. I have this in Libby. It's only a 4-hour book, so that means it's a really short book. I saw it in Audible and I really wanted to listen to it, but I did not want to use my credit on this short book. So I waited until I could get it in Libby and I finally got it. So I'm going to be listening to that this month, and that is everything. But if you guys stuck to the end, you are literally the most amazing human being on the planet Earth. And I thank you so much for watching my entire video. Like, wow. Because I've been recording this for an hour and a half. I'm probably gonna cut it down to, I don't know, 20 minutes. But it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. So if you guys stuck with me this whole time, cheers. Cheers again. Thank you so much for watching, and if you guys did enjoy this video, please go ahead and hit the like button. Let's chat in the comments. I love a good chit chat. I will reply to all of you guys. We'll have some good conversation down there. Hit the subscribe if you've just found my channel. Again, we are brand new, and we're almost at 100 subscribers at this moment. 98 subscribers. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That is a blessing, and I'm honestly so grateful. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.